Greetings, Ashen, the comic book hunter here, back for a brand new comic book hunt. Yes, the industry has started back up. The blood flow of comics has returned, and I am back. So, I gotta get my sea legs again. Gotta get my sea legs. It's been a little while since I've done a live stream, so let me go ahead and break this down for you if you are new to one of my live streams or videos, whatever the case is. I start off by showing you some comic books I picked up in the previous week, give you little reviews, let you know what I thought. And for the second thing I do, of three things, I'm going to recommend some comics for you. What's coming up next week? Not much, spoiler alert. Then the final act. Well, what do? Well, I let you know about some campaigns that are currently crowdfunding. So that way, if you're interested in like an alternative form of picking up comics or helping support new creators, then, well, that might be really good for you. Okay, so, cult film video! Hey man, how you doing? It's good to have you in the chat. It's good to have you here. Somebody here for my grand return. Thank you for stopping by. And he says, gang, gang, exclamation point. Yes. So let us go ahead and get started here real quick. I am going to show you some comics I picked up this last week. Now this one's not necessarily new. This is a back issue. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this one recently, so I went ahead and picked this up. Pit. So a lot of people have been talking about Pit. I never really picked Pit up back in the day, so I'm really gonna have to check this out. But I don't know how many of you remember this character named Pit or not, but looks pretty cool. I always thought he was just kind of a Lobo ripoff, but apparently he had a pretty good fan following. So I'm going to be checking that issue out. And now we get into the for realsy dealsy new issues. So let us start with DCeased. Oh my goodness, the brightness here is astounding. Sorry, I have a slightly different setup now, and as you can see, there's a lot of glare. But yes, we have DCeased, the Unkillables, number 3. So this is the final issue in the series, and it was a pretty good series. I would say this was a step up from the last issue, which was probably the weakest DCeased comic issue that I had seen. It wasn't bad, but in comparison to the others, it was just kind of weak, and this one kind of steps the game back up. A lot of the issue I had with the last one was the art, but in this one we have stepped the art game back up a bit. Looks pretty rad. You could see zombie Wonder Woman here. She just found the Unkillables, and she's looking to create some havoc, destroy some people, and it is a bloody and violent battle. So that was, very interesting. We go over here and we have the new Batgirl, Batwoman, and she is fighting some zombies. Really good art. I really enjoyed this issue as the finale to this brief interlude. There are a lot of questions left up in the air at the end, but it seems like they have a bit of finality. Anyway, there is another DC series coming out, I think called Dead Planet, and that will be coming up. So this probably is going to lead into that, so you can get an understanding on how humankind continues to survive in a world completely overwhelmed by these infected people. So that is my review for that. And let us get on to the next issue. This one is by one of my favorite horror writers, Cullen Bunn. So we have Rogue Planet. We don't just have this Rogue Planet. Oh no, we have another one too. Cover B. So yeah, I bought both covers. I was looking forward to this, and the issue really didn't disappoint me. I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi, but you throw in the horror and it interests me pretty good. Let me show you a little of the art from the inside. So this is showing you a little bit about a ritual that this alien race would do to satisfy some sort of a deity, but there is a prophecy that the deity will never be sated until greater sacrifices come back. So whatever that means. And then many years down the road, we have some travelers, and they stumble upon the ruins of this civilization. I'm not going to show you too much, but needless to say, this is a pretty interesting book. There's a lot of character development in this, and that's not necessarily bad. It's just there are a lot of characters, and you got to get introduced to a lot of people, and they just didn't want to hand this all into one place. The issue does end on a nice, interesting cliffhanger that kept wanting me to come back for the next one. We'll have to see what they do with it, though. Really, the next issue will make or break this for me. I really did enjoy it, but there is the potential for this to fall apart. However, Cullen Bunn is a good writer, and I'm interested in seeing what he is going to do next. So that is that. Next on our agenda, we have a comic. I'm talking about crowdfunded comics. Well, the next comic I got in was crowdfunded. So here we go. We got Babylon Working. Yes, Babylon Working. Oh man, I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed this book. This is issue number 1. And they are coming out with issue number 2. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But Babylon Working was quite cool. It was kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I hate to use this term, but it was female centric. The team is very skilled women, but it didn't really feel out of place, and it had sort of a superhero-ness to it, but then there was horror aspects to it, and it all blended really nicely into an interesting story. Let me go ahead and show you a little bit of the art, and you can see the badass babes here holding people up with guns as they are trying to get away with a robbery. And yeah, it's quite good, and there's like nudity everywhere in this book. So if that is a draw for you, then you may be interested in this book. But overall, even without it, the whole story reads briskly. It's enjoyable. It's not very censored, like it lets a lot of things go. There is a little bit of restraint on their part, because there's this one scene in particular that could have been gruesome, and the gore hound in me would have loved it to be gruesome, but they did it artistically. Ooh. But I know no such restraint. But yeah, as you can see, the art's pretty good in this book, and it's an interesting premise. Having this team, all the characters are quite interesting, and they all have unique powers, and they all work together to try and accomplish their goal. So yeah, it's like a sort of like if you enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy and you want them to be kind of like mercenaries rather than guardians, then that's what you get here. And it's quite good. It's quite good. All right, we have one last issue on my new comic book pile. Man, hesitant about talking about this one. A lot of people are going to be not happy with me after I review this one. But here we go. Oh, I don't know if you'll even be able to see this. Oh, there it is. Whoosh. Came in America. Yes. This cover is astounding. I love what they did. This isn't just like my camera acting up. There is this interesting glare to it, as you can see. So it's a really, really cool cover. I haven't really, there are a bunch of books in this series, right? Like one of them is spoofing on Donald Trump, and another one has like a rabbit that's an operative, like a military operative or something. And then this one is in that same universe, from what I understand. And I was reading through it, and it's not like a bad book, but it's not my thing at all. Like it looks like, how should I put this? It kind of looks like they're trying to go for something like My Hero Academia, kind of One Punch Man-y, and sort of the humor. but at the same time, I don't know, just the character didn't flesh out enough for me, and the art never really brought it enough for me. There wasn't enough of an impact. Overall, the art's really good, but I don't know, there's like, if there was more sequences of impact where you can feel the battle and stuff like that, then I probably would have enjoyed this a little more. And I know a lot of people love this book, and I'm not trying to diss it. It's just I didn't really connect with it. So I mean, you can go ahead and check it out if you want. I'm sure they're going to be putting up a campaign for Cayman America #2 soon. But for me, not so much. Didn't quite dig it too much. All right. So that is it for new comics this past week. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna recommend comics next week. And what can I really say? Comics are still coming in very slow. So what do we got? Let's see. What do we got? A Gretzko. This is the best we have for next week. This is the only issue I'm buying. It's really kind of sad because, I love me some comics. I got one comic coming in next week. A Gretzko. And this is a good comic. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. And especially if you like the animated series, there's a lot of in-jokes and they play with it very well. I would say the animation's a slight step down from the TV series, which is a little odd. But, if you enjoy the characters and you enjoy the setting, they play with it enough to keep your interest. And, it's not bad so far. So what I would recommend is a Gretzko #3 coming out next Wednesday. Boy, well, that was cut short. Well, now we are going into the third section, and this is going to be five whole titles I'm going to be recommending to you that are currently on Indiegogo. Now, I messed up a little since this is my first time back doing this, and I have the wrong thumbnail up for an old stream I did a long time ago before everything happened, and I don't have any of the links down or anything like that, so I royally messed everything up. But what I'm going to do is, after I finish streaming this, I'm going to go ahead and put links down and everything like that. But don't let that stop you. Don't let my inability to set everything up stop you. If you are interested in any of these titles, please go seek them out. I'm sure the people that are creating them would definitely appreciate you going in and buying a copy. So here we go. We will start with the Epic of Enkidu. Now, this one is interesting because the creator wants to focus on the fact that this is a superhero story, but it focuses on somebody with autism. And that is a great thing that will sell it to a lot of people, because people like to buy niche stories like that. And that's how it's presented to me. But more interesting to me is this is supposed to be a sequel to the Epic of Gilgamesh. So if you're a history buff, then this story might be for you, because seeing that story continued, seeing how they could possibly continue it after how it ended, with Gilgamesh's search for immortality kind of coming up flat. I'm just interested. I'd really love to know where they're going to go with that and how they're going to tie it all together. Anyway, if you want to check that out, that is over on Indiegogo, the Epics of Enkidu. This one, I'm actually looking forward to. More lethal. The cover art, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, the cover art is not particularly appealing for this, but Epi Canalis is drawing the inside, and that looks really good, really fun art. I don't know if he drew this cover. I don't know if it's just the colors that are making it kind of odd or whatever the case is, but I do enjoy Epi Canalis as a artist, and I like to support a lot of his projects. And this one here, it looks good, especially on the inside. Looks like a fun, violent story. Right up my alley. So if you are interested in checking out More Lethal, go ahead and search that on Indiegogo. Oh, it's really cheap too, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. I forget exactly how much it is, but I think it's like $5 or $10 a book, something. No, it's like $5 a book, and then like $5 shipped or something like that. I got the 2-pack. I got 2 issues just because I wanted to support it $15. You know, it's like the prices are so cheap. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. It really looks fun. Don't let this kind of oddly colored cover fool you. Go ahead and check out the inside art, and I think that you will find it enjoyable. Saving the World number 2. Yes, this is an incredibly fun story by Tonic Mole. And honestly, I got this in and I read this, and I still have to do a proper review of it. But Saving the World number 1 was a really, really fun story and way up my alley more than Cayman America. It's just more bouncy. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just had more fun with itself in ways that jived with me better. So if you want to go ahead and check this out, I have a high recommendation for this because they are selling number 1 and number 2, and I believe they may, I don't know if they're going to do it or not. The last issue came with sort of a ash can that turned into a whole nother comic. I don't know if they're going to do something with that with this issue. But Tonic Mole's good guy. Go ahead and check out his campaign. I believe this one's very affordable too. Maybe like $15 or something. Not too bad for a Indiegogo project. But definitely fun, definitely worth your time. Go ahead and check out Saving the World number 2. Babylon Working number 2. I just reviewed Babylon Working number 1 for you. Number 1 ends on kind of a brutal note. It's pretty brutal, but it could have been a lot more brutal if they had just leaned into it rather than doing that artistic stuff. But but it did work out. It was kind of shocking to see what they did at the end regardless. But number 2, man, I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes and how everything works out, because that was quite interesting. It was a nice cliffhanger. And number 2, it's going to be awesome. It's already funding. It's funding on Indiegogo. That's where I buy. It's also funding over on Kickstarter. So you can go ahead and pick that up if you want. Babylon Working. I believe they are incorporating number 1 into this as well. I am not 100% certain. They usually have issues left over though, so there's probably a tier where you can get number 1 and number 2. I didn't really look into it. I just bought it. I already funded this, and that was that. But yeah, Babylon Working number 2, fun story. A lot of mature elements to it. Good action. If you like kind of superhero sci-fi, sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy, this was fun. This is a sleeper. I wish this got funded better last time, and maybe people can actually tick this over and really enjoy this story. All right. We have Project Access and Axis, not Access. But this is on Kickstarter. I really don't fund Kickstarters very much. This project looks interesting though. The art style is very, very strange, almost experimental, but it does look quite cool, and it's almost a Jason Bourne scenario where a guy wakes up out in the desert. He doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't understand the world that he's currently in. You're kind of getting introduced to it along with everyone, along with the main character, so that way it fleshes it out. But apparently, like, corporations rule the lands and all kinds of corruption abounds. But so right now, but no, just joking. But yeah, it's definitely going to be, you might want to keep an eye on this. The art is definitely interesting, and we'll have to see how it plays out in full comic book format, but it does look quite interesting. Story honestly has been a little played out before, but it is open to interpretation, so the creator could make a wonderful world for us to explore and give some deep lore, bringing us some answers about who this character is and what he's capable of. All we know is he potentially has the power to change the world. So, yeah, sounds interesting. And that is that. I appreciate the two of you who stopped here tonight to watch my grand return. Sorry if I made a few mistakes, but this is me getting back on that horse. Hope I gave you guys some ideas from creators that you might be able to help out. And that's that. I hope you all have a great evening. Yes.